Well, I have finally decided to do it, and today we're going to talk about the BIOS. Now, the reason why it took so long was because I didn't know how to really do this video. Uh, I got my iBook over there, is a which is part of the Mac stuff, and they don't use they use a type of BIOS, but it's not what you find on a everyday PC. Um, Another thing we aren't going to talk about. So we're not going to talk about that. Another one that we're not going to talk about are UEFI or EFI. Mac OS 10, the newer computers out to the PowerPC, those use EFI. We aren't going to talk about that. And the newer computers that run Windows 8 use UEFI, and we aren't going to talk about that. But they're going to have the same basic principle as what we're about to talk today. The BIOS is a... How could I really explain it? Well, the BIOS, to me, is the firmware of the basic fundamental of starting a computer. It's the very bare minimum software that checks and initializes hardware and, that kind of stuff. I don't want to do a very advanced video here. I just want to do it basic, but a little bit advanced that you can think about it, so it'll be at least on your mind when you restart or turn off your computer next time you do so. So in this video I'm gonna actually use a computer that I haven't used before in a video, and it's gonna be this one. Why am I using this one? Why that computer? Well, this computer uses... It's kind of funny, but it does some weird things. But I really want to use this one because I think that it might die soon, or something. It's been having some problems, but which we'll talk about later in this video. But I wanted to do a video with this computer. This is the compact I was talking about that I have. This compact was talking. This is an HP compact, but whenever like I said last video, when I talk about the HP compact, I'm not. I mean, when I'm talking about the compact, I'm not referring to this one. I'm referring to this computer. This is the only compact I have. Not only is it the only compact I have, it's the only AMD computer I have. So let's get started. I got it plugged into the TV. I wanted to do this earlier, but I had a glare and I kind of cut my finger when I wanted to do this video. So hopefully my finger doesn't bother me. And we're just going to go up here and do that. Hopefully, again, the problem I was talking about is you're probably all going to see it. It might get kind of severe where I have to restart my computer, but I'm going to point it out. So if you're watching this and I don't catch it, which I probably will, you can put it in comments or whatever, but it's what happens with this computer. So I'm going to just plug this in. And there it is. Now we're going to press F10. And setup. Now see, you can't see it on here. F10 and F all that. I had to look on Google for F10. Usually it's F2. And we're going in the BIOS. The BIOS actually has to do checks before it can even run the display. Like go into BIOS shattering to the RAM, and it will go into so it can access it later. And that's where we actually do it. On some computers you could actually go through DOS and edit the BIOS, but we're not going to get into that in this video. But so I think at this point why it's taking so long is probably because it's doing a RAM allocation check and it's calculating all the RAM. I don't know how to bypass this. Earlier in the other video I used the BIOS password, and just bypassed all this. So I've tried that and it doesn't work anymore. I don't know what's wrong, but this is the BIOS. It did the post, which is a power on self test. That is done after it initializes the USB and all this. And you know, the numlock, I think numlock came on. And when numlock comes on, that can also be triggered by the BIOS at startup. So the basic input-output system is what BIOS stands for. And your computer is going to do some kind of check at the beginning. And it is taking a very, very long time. So later on we're going to do a little bonus video. But yeah, it is still responsive because I'm doing a numlock, but you know, hopefully this is working. This does take a long time, guys. When we timed it, it took 2 minutes. So, with that BIOS password before, it took only like 30 seconds. So, this is gonna take a while. Nope, this is real time, people. No speed tricks. And no voiceovers either. I'm right here. See, this is my hand. No voiceovers. No voiceovers. No edits. No voiceovers. Okay. This does take a while. Like, I'm not kidding. Oh, boy. I would shut the video and try it again, but that, you know, I'm not good at editing. So let's see, what else could we talk about. Before the display actually shows up, that's after a memory check. After the memory check, then it goes there. Again, this is the BIOS, isn't it? UEF. Man, did this freeze? No, the numlock key is too responsive. Hang on. Okay. I'm already at 10 minutes. So, I'm just gonna stop it here and then do another one. Do a part 2, I guess, or something. So, see you on the next. Yep, guys, something did happen. I waited like, yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, that was the problem I was talking about. But, yeah, guys. Which would actually mean that it probably didn't update the graphics. So what I'm gonna have to do here is improvise with another computer over here. Which one could I use? Let me see. Oh boy. I can't just pick out some random computer over here and just work. Wait, hold on. Need a light on. See, that's my hand that it's more shaky because my pinky hurts. Let's see, what computer could I use? I guess I could use this one right here. This is actually the Sound 9000. That uses the same motherboard as that one right over here. So, I guess you could use that. Let's see. Let me see. I gotta plug this in. Here it is. Oh, and I don't know if you could tell it on this computer, but you could hear that high-pitched noise. I could hear it. I don't know if it was too sensitive to pick up on this camera, but this microphone. So, hang on, I gotta move my laptop. Yeah, that was my pinky right there. There's my monitor. This monitor is from 1994. Got my keyboard. Good thing we don't need a mouse in this. There we go. It's starting now. Hopefully I got that plugged in. Yeah, I do. So I did this memory check. You know, it's got its display. Different kinds of hardware uses different kinds of BIOS. Oh, and sometimes it can't update fast enough. The screen can't update fast enough, so it does it like that. To prevent this, we do Control-Alt-Delete. That's IBM reboot for BIOS. And we press F2, and there it is. You can actually change that splash screen. So we do F2. Where is it? Oh yeah, that was right. That I got quick boot off. Quick boot. So we gotta hurry up and press F2 before that shows up. Well guys, it looks like it deleted my last video that I tried to do. But I already plugged this one. I'm using this computer instead, right here, which is Cell 9000. Which is a sister computer to that one over there, which is what I call a HAL 9000, the one at the very end over there with the yellow. So I went through here and I pressed F2 and I went into the BIOS. You see at this top it says Dell Dimension 4100 setup. It usually says Phoenix BIOS, which on the last video it showed as Phoenix BIOS. Before we get into more about this, I want to talk about where the BIOS chip is, which is right here. On this computer, it's right there, which would say something like American Megatrends or Phoenix or what. The reason why I know this is the BIOS is because let's see if we can really focus on it. I don't know if you can read it, but right here it says American Megatrends 1994. So it uses the 1994. But I believe that's 1994. But yeah, that's the BIOS chip, which is a RAM chip. So here's the time and date. I can actually set it right here. Let's focus. So it says the time and date. This is stored on a CMOS, which is on the battery. Let me show you where that battery is. And yes, computers do use batteries. It's this. That's the battery. This little round circular batteries, and those aren't cheap. Those batteries are like $3 each, which I think is ridiculous. Those little watch batteries. So here they are. It tells us our processor 933 megahertz, the cache RAM, which is the memory on the processor, on the CPU. 256 megabytes of memory. That's the memory I have installed in here. PC 133. That means 133 megahertz. That's the speed of the memory that I have installed. System time, system date, boot configuration, plug and play operating system, numlog. Like I said in the last video, that's the numlog. Does that automatically come on, or does it wait? Reset config data, which would clear your PNP, plug and play. Not really sure what these three do, but that's your legacy USB support. I believe that would allow the use of a USB instead of a PS2 keyboard or a mouse. You could use USB, which is actually operating system. It depends on the operating system you use too. Primary ID master, that's the first thing it looks into on the master hard drive for the operating system. You got the slave, the ID master, which I guess on this one, the secondary master would be like something like a CD drive or something like that. Diskette, of course, that's the floppy disk. Event log, video, and this is stuff that we had on the that was capped, and it found some errors. Now there is one error in particular, and there it is. This error. This means that we removed RAM and it caught it, and it says that we used less RAM. That's actually true. Sometimes that's a sign of a faulty memory or a faulty motherboard. But more on that later. We just want to get to the basics, but enough to talk about, enough to let you remember this next time you turn on your computer. At least that's the goal anyways. Log all events as word. We don't want to do that because it would remove them. Now on this one, I'm not really sure what it does, but it does with the video. Security set supervisor password, and that's of course the password to the motherboard. I mean the BIOS. Like you saw on this computer, where that little blue box showed up, that was the password. And you gotta type that in ever. Now, in this particular case, it says supervisor and user. I believe the user is the password to boot into an operating system. Supervisor is the one to go into the BIOS. Quiet boot, that would be, it would keep all post messages, power on screen testing messages. When your computer starts, it goes into USB initialization. It does hardware initialization, and it does a check. Some hardware, like video cards, have their own BIOS, so it will go into the post. But some people use post cards. On this computer, let me show you. This computer actually uses a diagnostic LED display to tell you what's going on. And you see those lights? Those lights should be green, 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 green. Oh, no, they're green, 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 orange would mean recovery mode, which means that I would be in the BIOS. At least I think that's what that means. Green, 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 all sort of green means that it's booting the operating system, and it found no errors. Of course, this is basic checks. It does not mean that your memory is good. It doesn't mean your CPU is necessarily good. It just means that it passed the basic functions of what it was supposed to do. A quick boot that turns off the memory checks and allocations, like I was talking about on that computer over there. It was doing those checks and I didn't know how to turn them off. Last state, that's when you remove the power wire it's on and you plug it back in, and it's going to automatically turn back on. On LAN, not sure what that really does. PME, I haven't really used those. I haven't used them at all. First boot device is a Toppy CD-ROM, which would be, if I put in a disk, it would automatically boot from there. IDHD, that would be that quantum hardware. We're looking for a boot safe to the boot from. Third boot device, I don't have one. IDE device. And if you mess that up, primary master, and that's how that, and exit saving changes, of course, save your changes, and then automatically boots, reboots, and goes into the operating system. Now on this computer, I have to press F2 right at that point. Let's see if we did. Nope, didn't do it quick enough. You do Control-Alt-Delete if you want to do restart. That's IBM PC standard. And we do F2. When we see that, it doesn't always, it's not always F2. Wasn't this one? Am I doing F1? Let's see. F1. F2. That's strange. It's supposed to go to the... It's usually F2 on this one, I thought. Yeah, there it is. I don't know what I had to keep on clicking it. But yeah, that's how you get on the BIOS, and that's... It does its checks, it initializes hardware, it looks for drivers, it looks for things that are installed. It even stores this information for later, which we'll talk about in a later advanced video. Oh, before we get... I guess we could end it right here. So, we can just turn it off right here. See if that didn't do a restart, because sometimes it does. Oh, yeah. That button is actually bad for that. So we're gonna get on this computer, and hopefully I got enough memory for this. I'm gonna do a part 2 after this. So, see you later to the next video. This video will not have any important significance for the most part, but I'm using this computer right now. Of course, it doesn't have a case. The case is right over there. The reason being is because this had Windows 98 and I wanted that computer to try to run it. So for the time being, this computer, this hard drive right here, originally went to that computer, and this hard drive is in that computer. So, but one thing I do like to do is find some weird typos in BIOS. It is very common, and right there it says BIOS therapy too. But I like to look for typos in these things, and they're very common, and I kind of like to look for them. They're kind of like Easter eggs to me. But the reason why there's typos is because an overseas company is doing the BIOS, and they got to translate it, and sometimes the translations are messed up. And the one on this computer in particular is one of my favorites. Right here. Detected warning. Yeah, that does say what you think it does. Detected. But that's the thing I wanted to use this computer for. Kind of like a bonus. Save it. And this is what happens when you try to boot without a hard drive. One or two things, really. Well, that's one thing that it looks for. It didn't find it a hard drive, so it tried to go to A. But that isn't what we wanted to do. Actually, I could disable that in the BIOS. And that's look at that, 32 megabytes of system RAM and all this other stuff. Too advanced for this video, guys, sorry. I'm just gonna go ahead and go into the BIOS and shut that off. Hopefully I got enough time for this. Loading setup. Okay. So we're gonna go to... it goes at floppy before it goes at HD. I wonder why it does that. So we're just gonna do that and go to exit and watch what happens. That was odd. Hopefully I got enough space to do this video. Hurry. Hurry. I just wanted to go to the... Oh, and this is another thing. Smart status for hard disks. I don't have another BIOS that says it besides this one. So, yeah, I guess that could be like a little, somewhat of an Easter egg. Of course, not really an Easter egg if it actually does it. He's not very smart, he usually can't do that. Well, usually would say a somewhat serious error and say, cannot find hard drive, proceed, or troubleshoot it or shut down your computer at a hard drive. Or a hard drive has failed, missing operating system, something like that. That's because the BIOS isn't detecting a hard drive. But if you have any questions, comments, and I hope this video, the next time you turn your computer on, you will think about this video and really think about it. So I gotta go. Hopefully you will think about this next time. Good night.